for this week.
God damn it. I don't think we should start out by me swearing. I just want to point out to people that can't see, you don't have your headphones on because they're out of juice.
My headphones are out of juice. And if you would like to see what I look like when I wake up in the morning, you should head on over to the YouTube.
It's amazing. It is epic.
It's early in the morning for us.
It
For
is
me.
6 a.m. because we couldn't get it together quickly enough.
Nope, it's been a week. It has been a week. I had a lot of I had shit going on. Shit I can't talk about just yet because I'm some sort of NASA agent.
NASA agent? Like an astronaut? That has made you giggle uncontrollably.
I say NASA. Okay.
NSA? This is going to go amazing. Jesus. Okay, if you're going to start, then you got to start.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Mental Funny Bone, Becoming the Gaster Girls. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Christine. A big part of this podcast is discussing mental health, but please know that we are by no means licensed mental health professionals. We will be simply offering our perspectives based on personal experiences and encourage listeners to seek professional help when needed. Various mental health resources are listed in our show notes.
See, that's the way it was meant to be.
That's how it's done.
That is the way it was meant to be. We had that all sorts of wrong. If you need someone to read shit, you just have to have Christine do it. I'm not good at the reading or the geography.
Correct. I think we have fan mail to talk about.
Yeah. Did you check out Kim D's Bumping Potatoes illustration?
I did. And I was like, why is Kim sending us a picture of two circles?
Bumping into each other.
With arms and legs.
With stick arms.
It's like,
so it was like two potatoes with toothpicks sticking out of them. I don't even know what else that she said in her email because I was so amazed with the fact that she drew two potatoes. Some might call them two circles. I call them potatoes. I see what she was going for. And then took a picture.
We did a big thing last week and we put the podcast up on LinkedIn.
I should say you did a big thing. I just told you to stop being a big puss about it and do it.
First off, LinkedIn is different. It's not like it's Facebook. It's not like people on LinkedIn know me.
It's obviously different because people on LinkedIn like you a lot more than they like me.
Listen, a consequence of having 19 jobs in the past 5 years is that I have a whole lot more connections than you do. I think it's the trick.
I didn't really look at that. I didn't pay attention.
We did get a lot of really nice comments. I did decide that we should probably put the Mental Funny Bone on LinkedIn as its own little thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that you're going to have to be in charge of LinkedIn. Basically, any new thing that you come up with, you should just expect me to say, yeah, I think you're going to have to do that.
Be in charge. God damn it.
And let me tell you, my headphones are not out of juice. They're only 20%, but they still wouldn't connect. I don't know why I just thought of that to tell you that they weren't totally out of juice.
I mean, it's good it's a callback. I think in stand-up comedy, they call that a callback. Usually you don't have a callback like right in the middle of somebody else telling a story, but...
Well, again, it's sleepy time for Sarah.
So I put this up on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is usually for, hey, I'm hiring, my job people are good at job stuff. But in this case, I was like, hey, LinkedIn people, I have some certain struggles I would love to share with you. And people were like, oh, you're so brave. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's amazing. Brave. Look at you putting yourself out there. And the thing that made me do was go, I'm not brave. I don't feel brave, but I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate people responding that this type of stuff definitely does belong on LinkedIn. So I was really encouraged by the fact that there are a subset of people that I am connected with on LinkedIn that would like to hear more about mental health topics and feel like this is an important thing to put into that kind of professional space. So that was really good.
100%, because mental health is a big part of your career.
Right.
Or at least, they say they want it to be because they want everybody to be all healthy and shit. But anyway.
But as a result of this, There was one guy I am connected with who I legitimately have not really had a conversation with. We had connected because we have the mutual connections and we work in the same space, but he had reached out and said that he loves this idea. And in corresponding with him, I asked him to give us some feedback because we feel like we get better when we have feedback. Brian Blair was kind enough to listen to our latest episode and provided pages of feedback. 99% of it was positive and insightful and encouraging. Brian, you are the tits. Thank you so much for taking the
Wow.
time to do that. The tits is my new thing to tell people they're good. You're the tits.
Wow.
I
That's
think it might come from watching the Derry Girls. I don't know if that's on there, but I feel like it was.
there was a lot of stuff on Derry Girls. Some of it I couldn't even understand. I did
I
finish
had
it
to have
though.
the subtitles on.
I think I have to watch it again with the subtitles on.
Most of the time I was like, what are
It
wings?
went really fast, and I was like, "Fuck, what'd she say?" I know that she said "fuck" a couple times, and I
Like
forget their names
Michelle.
already. Michelle, yes.
Michelle. Yeah, motherfuckers.
Yeah, she obviously was my favorite.
Duh. Anyway, but Brian was nice enough to provide a ton of feedback, and I really appreciate it. His summary from someone who listens to a couple hours of podcast a week was that we sound professional, we do a good job researching, we're doing most of the right things. His piece of negative feedback is one I already knew. We often forget that we're doing a podcast for more than me and you and our parents.
Oh, yeah. Because that's just what we expect. It's what's ingrained in us. We know that other people listen.
Also, other bits of fan mail. No, I think that's it. I think those are
Okay.
the only bits of fan mail that we got.
You were doing an
But
awful lot of talking for the fact that I said before we started, I will take care of everything up until mental health, and then you're gonna have to I was gonna say carry the ship, but I feel like carrying a ship is really hard to do.
a show, carrying the show, fair enough. I feel like your hair is making me think you don't want to participate today.
I think it looks good until I go like,
I am going to find that picture of you in elementary school where you're wearing like the big fluffy collared shirt
oh yeah,
and your mom has sent you with hair like that for your school picture.
yeah. There's actually a few of them. They're not difficult to find.
Also, sidebar, do you think the cat's tail wrapped around my neck makes me look unprofessional?
No, it makes you look weird.
Thank you. All right, weekly catch up corner. What did we do this week?
We went to the Hootie and the Blowfish concert.
I love a blowfish.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was hotter again, hotter than Satan's fucking testicles.
Not even the testicles, that part underneath them, like where stuff gets stuck. Bat wings
Bat wings.
is a term that I learned at the Hootie and the Blowfish concert. Apparently, it's where the skin gets attached to the legs, and then you have to do like very wide strides to separate
Yeah.
it.
It's sweaty and sticky. Yeah, a
Part.
friend of mine, Kristen, taught me that, and it's one of those terms it's really hard to forget. And then Noah and I were watching Joe Coy, the comedian, and he didn't call them bat wings, but he was just talking about how when a man is talking to you at a bar and he does a wide step or he's putting his leg up, he said what he's doing is separating his nutsack from his thighs.
Aw, and now we have the title of the episode: Separating the Nutsack.
Or just bat wings.
Oh, we should do this shit in the morning all the time. Getting into it now.
This might be the best way to wake up, actually.
Speaking of Hootie, while we were there in our little perch, because we're too old to be on the lawn anymore.
Right, that shit is
Also,
happening.
concert, there were a lot of old people.
And I would like to point out, you kept saying these people are our age, and they definitely were not. They were old. They were old. They were old. And what just came to mind is, do you remember the guy in the scooter? Or no, was he in a scooter or was he in a wheelchair?
You're
And
going to have to be more specific. Which guy in the wheelchair?
One of the workers was pushing him along with his wife, and the wife was so pissed. And the guy in the wheelchair was just laughing.
Also, the size of Darius Rucker's biceps.
Yeah. I didn't know I was in love with him.
I don't remember having a crush on Hootie back in the day.
I don't either at all. In fact, I remember making loads of fun of him because he's a huge puss and the dolphins make him cry.
Again, I'm going to ask, is it the sports team or the animal with this up and down gesture?
I don't know. I'm going to say, depending on the verse.
Listen, I read the Blowfish book to see if I could figure it out. Oh, so that's
Do
back to the original story I was telling before I was complaining about the old people. There, we were up on our perch, and there was a man who ran over and said something mumbly and fast. And I had a few beers and I didn't understand what it was, but all I heard was book and Blowfish.
Oh, yes.
And it was right after the opening act. So you and I were like, let's go see what this man is offering us for
Let's go
Blowfish
find the
books.
book.
And we were going to follow him. And then we got out of the perch and walked down. And there were a lot of people exiting, going to the restroom at the same time. And then we were like salmon swimming the wrong way. And you were like, I can't do it.
Abort, abort.
I believe that is what you said.
Exactly what I
And we
said.
did make a very wide turn.
Okay, so Hootie and the Blowfish. Number one, I thought I actually knew more Hootie and the Blowfish songs. However, I knew enough that I loved it.
And they covered REM, which is now
I'm sure.
resulting in me looking for an REM cover band to go see.
Yes. And I would like to go with you because that was probably one of my favorite parts of the evening.
I knew all those words.
Yes, there was a lot of words there that I knew. I loved the fact that I knew I wanted to hear two songs before we went there. I wanted to see him go blind and I wanted to see him cry about the dolphins. And he opened with going blind and he ended by crying about the dolphins.
It was perfect. I wanted to hold his hand.
Yes, that was another good one. That was like right in the middle. So I felt like it was perfect. Hootie knew exactly what the Gaster girls were looking for.
He did.
He
And he
pointed
played
at us.
Wagon Wheel, and there was a
Mhm.
little bluegrass thing, and all of the Blowfish came up to the front of the stage. They had to
Yeah,
sit down in the middle because they were tired.
tired. And the one big guy had a little tiny baby guitar, also known as the ukulele.
Look at his small guitar. And we
Look at
paid
that
$9
guitar.
for a water.
Yes, but it was a liquid death, so I feel like it doesn't count. It's you think it might be alcohol, but it's not.
Seems weird.
It was my first liquid death experience, and it was amazing. I feel like I need to also point out that I drove not just to the concert, but home from the concert, and I was sober. Yay me!
I'm so proud of
Hmm.
that. It's a good thing that I bought 30 beers for us to
Right.
have
We
because
need to
I
do better.
forget. I
I
have a
feel like we're
hard
getting better.
time.
We're getting better because we took 60 to Kenny Chesney.
I don't
So
know why I would think each of us would drink 30 beers in 3 hours.
here's what I thought the following day. And this is actually the thought when I was packing the beers into the cooler before we left was we definitely don't need 30 beers, especially considering I was driving. I knew I was going to drink a few before we went in and that was about it. But anyway, following day, also known as Sunday, I was thinking like Jim had a smaller cooler. Chris had a smaller cooler. And I was like, "Oh, you know what? We don't have to take the whole case. Like, we can buy a case of beer, throw 10 of them in a baby cooler, and that makes a lot of sense. Like, we're allowed to do that. Nobody wrote on the case, hey, you have to put all of this in one cooler and take it with you.
These beers have
And
to, they're family. These beers are family.
I feel like that's where we went wrong, that we just didn't. So maybe we'll get it right on the third concert.
I think we're done for this year.
I see that Alanis Morissette is traveling around with some other people. I saw that on Facebook last night. The closest is Cincinnati, though,
That's
and that's
far.
like July. That's like the end of this month, so not enough time to plan with a vacation in between there.
We do have a Liverpool soccer game to go see.
We do. Is that on the 27th?
26th.
26th. Okay,
It's a
Alanis is
Friday.
on the 27th, so we couldn't have done it anyway. I'm very
Oh,
excited about the Liverpool soccer game. Stop.
me too. Stop what?
Like you were looking at some. Oh, you were looking at your calendar.
Looking at my calendar to see when the game was.
I thought you were looking at Rosie. Um, can we segue into soccer?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Euros. The Euros.
Okay.
A Euro. Euro
The
2024.
Euro. Last week, I was barely aware that there were two large tournaments going on. This week, I can't stop watching them. So it's amazing, though, because the Euros games are at like 11 a.m. and 2. So that's awesome. And then the games are at 6 and 9. So we could watch all of them. So that's what we've been doing. And again, believable heartache and anxiety. It's so the
Right.
Euros,
Every game I
Slovakia.
have watched comes down to the last 15 seconds where these dumbasses lose focus and somebody scores.
Yeah, England and Slovakia were playing the other day. Was it Sunday, I think? England definitely favored to win. They played a little bit like shit. Maybe not a little bit like shit, but they didn't play great. But Slovakia was just holding them off. And it was like minute 95. So they were probably in the last 30 seconds. So for those of you that don't know, a soccer game's 90 minutes. They were at 95 because they had extra time because of injuries and whatever stoppage was throughout the game. So yeah, they were lost my light. Probably 30 seconds from heading into overtime. And Slovakia was actually winning 1-0. So I lied. They weren't 30 seconds going into overtime. They were 30 seconds from winning the game. Uh-huh. And England scored. Then they get into overtime, and I think in the first 30 seconds, England scores. And that's the way that it ended. They still had to play the rest of overtime, which sucks, but they pretty much crushed all their dreams in a matter of 2 minutes.
Right.
It was terribly heartbreaking. And then, what was it yesterday that I watched? France and Belgium, which apparently they were, I knew France, but I didn't know Belgium. They were like in the top 2 or both of them highly ranked.
Such a tiny country with delicious waffles.
Belgium. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was another one. The majority of the game, 0-0. And I want to say like in the last 5 minutes, maybe. I might be making that up, but definitely late in the game, France scored. One thing you need to look up is Mbappe. I
I
just
love
like to say Mbappe.
I love that band from the 90s. So
Me
good.
too. Mbappe. Apparently, they're very meaningful lyrics too. But anyway, Mbappe has a face mask on. He looks like a superhero. I guess he had an injury
Oh,
to his face.
is that why you're doing that
So,
with your fingers?
because that's what he looks like.
Does
So
it
you
make
have
him
to check
more
it out.
intimidating?
It makes him look like you should makes him look like he should be carrying around a pillowcase and you should be putting Reese cups in it.
Oh, I
He
see.
looks
I thought for a second you were going to tell me that you heard about this great soccer player named Mbappe, and I was just going to have to laugh at you.
why?
Because did you not watch the World Cup? It was
Wait.
Mbappe versus
Oh, you thought I
Lionel
didn't
Messi.
know about him.
I thought you were
Oh, no,
telling
I
me about
know.
this new soccer player you'd never heard of
Oh,
before.
no, I'm well aware of him. Aware of him. Not aware of him with mask.
With Halloween, dressed up for Halloween.
The mask
Halloween
was an
Mbappe.
addition since the World Cup. I
Did you
did forget how
see?
much I love to say his name, though.
Did you see where the one English guy said that, oh, we want to do good or something because the English haven't won a major tournament in 100 years or whatever, forgetting that the women had just won the FA Cup and a whole bunch of things like last year. Like they're kicking ass all over the place. And he was like, England haven't won dick. And the girls were like,
Excuse
hello,
me.
excuse me, to
Which
point
English
out.
player was it?
That's what, hold on, I'm looking up. England,
The only one I
uh,
know is Harry Kane.
it might have been
Because
him.
his name's Harry Kane.
England hasn't won anything. Bad quote.
England hasn't won anything, moron.
England
I say that like I
soccer
knew what they won, but I feel like he probably should have known.
not winning quote. Why does England never win anything? No, that's not it.
Looking that up,
I'll have to
or if
find
you
it.
can remember. So then the next game was Portugal and
You are watching a lot of soccer.
yeah, so Portugal and some other country. They were wearing white. I can't remember who the other country was because I'm a terrible person.
Oh,
But I
Harry Kane.
yeah, I knew it was Harry Kane, moron. Again, only because his name's Harry Kane and sounds weird. And he's
Generally, I like him.
yeah, no, you know what I know about Harry Kane? He plays for England. All I
Um,
know, and that
and
he's
he's
good.
not Welsh.
Okay, because that means a lot to me. That's yeah, that's definitely meaningful to me. Who
Oh,
did
there's lots
Portugal?
of TikToks about it.
Can you look up who Portugal played yesterday? Slovenia, Albania,
You border on the Adriatic.
Adriatic. Thanks, coach.
Portugal. Wait, who plays for Portugal? Somebody famous. Oh, so
Cristiano
pretty.
Ronaldo.
Is it
I don't
It's
know.
Slovenia, I believe?
Slovenia? See? I know.
Oh,
Anyway, so
I know what you're
Portugal is
gonna say.
definitely favored to win, and it's 0-0 all game, and close to, I think that they maybe were in overtime, and they got a penalty kick. Portugal got a penalty kick, and Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel like that's how I have to say it. Is it Cristiano Ronaldo? Christian Ronaldo? I don't know. Ronaldo. He's really fucking pretty.
Cheekbones on this man.
Anyway,
Whew.
he took the penalty kick. Game should have been over, right? Nope. Goalkeeper saved it. And then Ronaldo cried.
Did
Like,
he?
yeah, like cried. Like there's
I mean,
lots of pictures. He cried. Here's the thing. They go into penalty kicks.
wait, so it's 0-0 at the end? It's
Yeah,
a draw.
0-0. It's a
Nil
draw.
nil.
It's 0-0, they say. So it goes into PKs. The Portugal goalie saved 3 penalty kicks in a row, like the first 3.
The people taking the penalty kick didn't mess it up.
They didn't miss. They didn't miss. The first one was a hell of a shot and a hell of a save. Any save, really, on a PK, unless it's kicked directly at you, is pretty good. The next 2 weren't the best placed balls, but dude guessed the right way both times, or all 3 times, and legit saved 3 penalty kicks. Yeah, so they won. And then Ronaldo, they did a little interview with Ronaldo, and one of the announcers, the halftime show people, after was like, wow, that dude's an asshole. He didn't say that, but he was like,
I was so
because
excited.
Ronaldo was talking about how he was disappointed in himself because he missed the penalty kick, and how he was sad but happy for the team, or he was sad but happy because they won. He was sad because he missed the penalty kick, happy because he won. And the announcer guy was like, dude, you're through. Like, why would you even
Yeah.
talk about yourself and the penalty kick that you missed? That's ridiculous, you selfish bastard.
Let me see if I can make this Ronaldo centric. Love it.
Yeah.
Did you
And
happen to see Czechia and Turkey?
I did not. I did
There
not.
were 1,000 yellow cards. Everybody got a yellow
Mm.
card. The referee was passing them out like fucking Tic Tacs. I, at that level, have never seen a referee lose that much control of a game. Like,
Oh, no. You didn't
people
watch
were,
US play, did you?
yes, I did.
Did
Yes,
you
I
watch
did.
US play last night?
And not last night. They played
Oh,
last
yeah.
night.
Yeah.
You got to text me. Fun fact,
Mhm.
Alexei Lalas went on tour with Hootie and the Blowfish
Back in the day?
back in the day when Alexei Lalas was in a rock and roll band. Also,
Fantastic.
fun fact, the drummer
Mhm. Yeah.
for Hootie and the Blowfish played Division 1 soccer. He was
Oh,
a Gamecock
yep.
at the University of South Carolina.
I would have went to school there just to be a gamecock.
I thought the best mascot ever was the Fighting Squirrels of Mary Baldwin University, but it might be
No,
the Gamecocks.
it might be. My hair looks like a gamecock right now.
You're looking more and more like Tina Turner every time I glance at you in my monitor.
That's what I think. When I look at myself in the mirror, especially my legs, I think, whew, Tina Turner. Yee. Anyway, so that's all about soccer. Well, oh no, I have one more thing to say about soccer. They did show Alexi Lalas from back in the day, back in the 90s, where we all all the soccer players wore their clothes 18
18
sizes too
sizes
big.
too big.
And I was like, oh, there. Because he calls Alexi Lalas, Owen calls Alexi Lalas your guy, Aunt Sissy's guy. And I said, look, dude, there's Aunt Sissy's guy back in the 90s. And he looks up and he was like, yeah, it looks like he fits in the 90s. Yep, sure did. He was like the epitome of the 90s.
God, he just had that little string around his hair,
Yeah.
his little
Mhm.
goatee.
Yeah. And big ass clothes.
Oh my God, a giant shirt. In shorts
Every
down
time
to
I
his
think of
knees.
Mia Hamm, I think of the pictures of Mia Hamm playing and her shirt being like she was probably a size -2 or something,
Right.
and her shirt being a men's extra large. Back then,
Right.
they probably didn't even make women's sizes in soccer uniforms.
No, you just got one size. They were like, she was like, "Can I have a child's medium?" And they were like,
Mhm.
We only have
No,
adult sizes. So
you can
here's
have
your adult
Alexi
small.
Lawless size.
Yeah, actually,
That's
this
what
is
you get.
Alexi's old shirt. You can have it. Here's a Kobe Jones. Here's his old shirt for you.
Oh, Kobe Jones is my favorite.
I was going to say something else about sports. Oh, my girl Simone Biles. Uh,
Right. Did you see that flip she did? Yeah,
sh-
or I saw like the one pass, whatever it's called. Her one thing where she went across the floor diagonally. The flip she did, I can't even describe to you. She did 17 flips in one go.
like they
It was
just
like
do it so fast and so much these days that people are really going to have to slow it down for me to be impressed. I'm like, I don't know. She just went up in the air and flipped around a bunch of times. Looked
she just went up
exactly
in the
like
air
the
and
other girl who did it.
wiggled. For a
Right.
second, I was like, I'm not sure she really flipped. I think she just wiggled a little bit, made it look like she was flipping.
More to my point. So David's turning in because we're starting to get Olympic fever in this house. And he watches all of their performances. He's come in here, watch this girl flip. So I come in and I watch the girl flip. And then he leaves because the flipping is done. They're just picking the team. And of course, Simone
Mhm.
Biles has already made the team because she won the guaranteed spot. And everyone wants to interview her. So the lady is interviewing her and she's, what do you think the big difference is between Tokyo and Paris? And our girl said, I think my mental health is in a much better spot now than it was then, thanks to seeing my therapist every week. And I was like, chef's kiss. Please, girl.
There you go. There you go, sister.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, let's move this
Anyway,
along.
that's soccer. Sorry, we talked a lot about soccer. What's
Oh, I
been
had the
going on,
flu.
man? Oh, yeah. You're feeling better?
I had the flu and I watched all of the Derry Girls, which I highly recommend.
For sure.
I love them.
I highly
Again,
recommend too.
there's so much 90s nostalgia happening in my life right now that I can't even.
I love the 90s.
I love
Mhm.
Hootie and the Blowfish in the 90s. I love Alexi Lawless
Mhm.
in the 90s. I love the
Mhm.
Gamecocks
All
in
of
the
it.
90s. All of it. I believe you have a growing up Gaster story of the week for us. If you could share your growing up Gaster story of the week about your grandmother.
Yeah, my grandma Annie, she was a piece of work is what she was. A fantastic piece of work.
She
That's
was
for
head
sure.
of household starting at age 13.
Yeah, I mean, she had quite the yeah, what's that word? Past? I don't know. Quite the growing up experience. She grew up quick. She grew up tall.
No, she was not. Her mom had a heart attack when she was 13 and
Yeah,
passed
did you
away.
expect me to get into the past? You go ahead and get into grandma's past. I'll tell a funny fucking story.
So then our grandmother was left to take care of everybody else in that house as far as cooking, cleaning, getting them off to school, taking care of putting together lunches, meals, all of it. Their dad went to work in a coal mine, and our grandma Annie raised all of the other siblings.
Starting from the age of 13. Like
Right.
age of 13. I could barely wipe my ass when I was 13. Like I don't
Owen has passed that mark for 2 years.
right. Can you imagine Owen being in charge of anyone?
No,
I
Olivia's
can't
18. I'm not barely able to leave her in charge of the cats.
yeah, it's pretty fucking amazing. Anyway, so
Anyway, she was a bit, yeah, she was a very detail oriented lady, I think we can call it. So she then went on to marry our grandfather, who was also a coal miner, and she raised my uncle Frank, who was 8 years older than our dad. I think
something like
eight
that.
sounds right. There was a wide age gap. Needless to say, she was a bit shocked when she had a second child. Then she had the three grandchildren. That would be me, you, and cousin Kelly.
Yes.
And we
Mm,
would go to my grandmother's house for weekends and particularly for Sunday dinners. And
Sunday.
our dad would take her shopping. Pretty much, she didn't drive, so somebody
Yep.
always had to be driving her around. Sometimes it was my uncle Bruno, who was her brother, and they lived next door to each other. So he would drive her around to places. But also, my Uncle Frank and our dad would go down there and drive her around, make sure she went to church.
Yeah.
And
Um
then we would force her to cook us a Sunday dinner.
yes. Yes, which I think that she enjoyed. She definitely enjoyed, and she loved sending the milk home with us all the time. She sent the milk home with us all the
Whatever it
time.
was. It came home
It's
with
just
us
a
in a
thing.
butter container.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure
The
the milk didn't come
country.
home with us in a
No,
butter container, but the
no,
rest of the leftovers did. She wasn't
no,
giving us her good Tupperware.
no. We got the country crock with
Most,
cheese whizzed green beans.
like most older people of that generation, my grandmother had a plastic container from the grocery store cupboard. So if it was a
Mhm.
butter container or a sour cream container, you
She
you
saved
couldn't
all of
throw it
them.
away.
Nope. And when I was in high school, I would drive down and take her grocery shopping. That started because I got grounded for something, and that was the only way I could get out of the house is if I went down and took grandma grocery shopping.
I love it. I love it.
So, yeah, I would drive down to grandma's and take her grocery shopping.
She was
And then I
often
started taking her to church.
she was often a difficult lady, but we very much loved her.
She was, but then she'd come out with, yeah, well, later in life. So they lived in a duplex, Grandma Annie, and then Uncle Bruno and Aunt Lay on the other side. And then Uncle Bruno passed away, and Aunt Lay moved to Ohio with Uncle Joe. So then my parents, after I graduated from high school, moved into the other side of the duplex. So Grandma Annie didn't have to move. That's where we come upon the great Grandma Annie stories. And then I moved
Most of
home.
them.
I moved into the duplex with my parents and with Grandma Annie. So I had the awesome experience of being a part of that for a little bit. And
Watching the cognitive decline, I think.
pretty much, yeah, I got to watch Grandma Annie go from a super
Feisty.
smart ass lady, feisty as shit, to being a 5-year-old again. So that was fun. And actually, we had good times. But one of my favorites is when I got my hair cut and I came home and she said, "You paid somebody to do that?" It's the kind of woman she was. And
Just
I'd say,
amazing.
"Grandma, if it's not nice, you just shouldn't say it. Just don't say it. It's that easy." I'd say.
She likes saying that too. We would take her shopping. She would buy us things at the grocery store. We would bring
Mhm,
those things home. And we're not there for an extended period of time. We're there for 2 days at a
mhm,
pop. And we would want to eat the things that we had bought at the
mhm.
grocery store. And she's, "What are you going to eat all the cookies right now? If you eat them all, you
Yeah.
won't have any for later."
Wouldn't have been any later.
I'm not going to be here
Yeah.
later. And I'm 7. So yeah, I want the
Yeah.
cookies.
She would do that because she would get pop. She'd get Pepsi, little Pepsi cans, and hide them. And I don't know if they hide them because we knew where they were. They
Not
were under her
hidden.
sink. And I would go over because mommy and daddy would run out of pop. And I'd be like, "Oh, I need a pop." So I'd go over to grandma's. "Oh, you're here to get another pop. It's not going to be there if you keep drinking it." "It's weird,
Yes,
grandma. I'll go to the store. I'll replace it for you. I promise."
I understand that if I eat them all today, they won't be there tomorrow.
They'll be in my belly.
Can I have a cookie,
Anyway, so
please?
today's Grandma Annie's story is about meteoritis. As Grandma got older, she would pass gas and not know it. So, one of my favorite Grandma Annie farting stories is when we were in Macy's shopping. I took her shopping for the dress she was going to wear for your wedding, Christine. And this can go in grocery stores, Macy's, whatever. It was the same thing every time it happened because you're walking along with Grandma and she goes, "Oh, what, Grandma? We got to move. We got to move. We got to get out of here. We got to get it."
Gotta
What?
go.
But oh my God, what is that smell?
Oh,
Sarah, shut up. Go, move. Holy shit, was that you? Yes, yes. Grandma would fart and then be like, "Oh shit, we got to move." That's one of my favorite grandma things. But anyway, so meteoritis, as she gets older, she will fart and not realize it until she smells it, which great. Her senses were still intact. So it was great. So she comes over to our side and she starts telling daddy about this, how she's now has this new issue where she farts and doesn't know it and she can't control it.
oh God.
And daddy says, there's the story gets better as we get older because there's parts to it because there's
There's
just a new
layers.
addition of the there's just a
Layers.
new addition to it like from a year ago. Anyway, so daddy says, "Mom, that's called meteoritis. Hitler had it."
What?
What the fuck
A.
are you? What?
So much to unpack.
No, like I am just like, "Oh, what? Okay." So my grandma grabs onto this and will definitely not let it go. So anytime she can, she will tell people that she has meteoritis. and she'll tell people, I have the meteoritis. Hitler had it. Anybody that'll listen to her, I have the meteoritis. Hitler had it. He had those stomach issues and he would just fart.
This came up
So this
at the
terrible,
beauty
the best
salon.
time everywhere. Like we would be, I don't know, at the grocery store checking out. She'd be like, hey, I have meteoritis. Hitler had it. So stomach issues when you fart.
It's not a thing.
This started in what? The late 90s, early 2000s.
If it was
So
my
this
wedding, it
starts
was 1998.
98, right? So yeah, so late 90s. And this whole time, I thought my dad made up meteoritis because these are things that my dad will do. He will make things up. And so I thought he was like, that's funny. I'll call it meteoritis and tell her that Hitler percent thought that this was made up. And so I was telling the story here to some friends when mommy and daddy were up not too long ago, maybe a year or two. And daddy, I was like, yeah, my dad made it up. My grandma's telling everybody about it. And daddy looks at me like real serious. He's, I didn't make that up. I was like, yes, you, the bullshit. No, it is definitely a thing that Hitler had. He had gastrointestinal issues and they were called meteoritis and he farted uncontrollably. And I shit you not.
Now,
the Googles told me.
I am on the Googles right now. And I can buy the Hitler and uncontrollable gas because that is fairly well documented from what I can see here. I cannot find the term meteoritis other than a hotel in Greece.
No, I found it. I swear to you, because I was like, there's no fucking way. I swear to you, because that's what I Googled. I don't know. While you talk about mental health, I'll Google and see what I can find.
Hitler's uncontrollable farting problem. There's a YouTube for it. I cannot believe this is how I'm starting my day. I can't believe it. What is the algorithm on my Google going to look like now? I'm going to get fired.
If this is what gets you fired, then you're not. I don't know what I was going to say, but yeah,
you're not doing it right. If this is what gets you fired, God. Oh, all right.
Meteoritis. Hitler had
looking up Hitler and uncontrollable gas. I don't want to talk about it. All right.
That's a Gaster growing up Gaster story. Grandma Annie. We have 1,000 more of Grandma Annie stories.
Can I just tell a quick
meteoritis is a good introduction.
Can I just tell a quick Grandma Annie story?
Yeah, I'm gonna look up meteoritis.
When my grandma got bad enough where she couldn't be in the house by herself anymore, mostly because she had some balance issues along with her cognitive decline, so she would fall. And it was pretty dangerous to leave her alone, and we couldn't be there all the time. So we looked around and put her in a care facility. Shady Pines? No, Cherry Tree. Shady Pines, Golden Acres, Golden Chopsticks, something.
Golden chopsticks. That's where I want to go.
Food's delicious. Really all the dumplings you can eat. Anyway, so grandma's there, and I try to go and see her, but I was also traveling a lot at the time, right? So I went to Paris. And instead of taking pictures, because this was before the advent of cell phone cameras, in fact, I don't think I even had a cell phone when I was in Paris because my cell phone from the US wouldn't work in a different country. So I bought a bunch of postcards and put them in a photo album like I was a photographer. And that is how I documented my time in Paris. And to be fair, because it was a work trip, I saw the airport, I saw the Eiffel Tower as we drove past it, and then I saw the conference rooms where this meeting was. And then I had 4 hours of time between where we were done doing work stuff and I had to be at the airport. So I just went around and bought a bunch of postcards like I had done touristy stuff in Paris when I really didn't. So I came back and I told your grandmother, who called me Wanda immediately upon walking into the facility. Oh, Wanda. No, Grandma, it's me. It's Chris. She was like, oh, I thought you were Wanda. Always disappointed it wasn't Wanda, who is our dad's cousin, by the way. So there I am. I'm flipping through it.
Oh, I found it. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm flipping through the book, showing my grandma these pictures, and she's like the most excited she's ever been while talking to me. And this is amazing. Your life is so amazing, Wanda, which I just let slide at that point. I was like, I know, isn't it? It's amazing. Wanda loves Paris. And it was a really good visit. She was really engaged. Sometimes she didn't feel like talking to you. A lot of the time she would just accuse me of stealing things from her. Other times
Mhm.
she would just give me slices of white bread that she had tucked away from her tray.
Yep.
The next time I go, I bring the book with me, and because there was like another story I wanted to tell her, and I show up and she said, "Oh, Wanda,
Mhm.
did you go to Paris?" She was asking me about a vacation I was planning, and I was like, "Yes, I did." So for 3 visits in a row, 4 visits maybe, we had the exact same visit, but it was
Mhm.
spectacular. Like I told the
Yeah.
same stories about the same pictures, and she was like, "This is just so impressive." I'm so glad you had a good time on your vacation. All right, so you found meteoritis,
It's
a hotel in Greece.
no. Berlin Bowell Brothers.
Oh God, that's not a thing.
No, it just came up here. Among other ailments, some of which may have been medication induced, he apparently experienced excessive abdominal gas, meteorism.
There you go.
Mhm.
So it is a real thing. I'll
So,
be darned.
yeah, there it is. I'm going to snap a photo of it on my cellular telephone here and send it to you.
It's nice to be able to take pictures wherever you are.
Yeah, I like that. It's fun.
Can we talk about the subtle art of not giving a fuck?
You bet we can.
All right, so this week is chapter 9. And in chapter
Mhm.
9, our
Oh,
friend
God,
Mark
yeah. Ugh.
goes into some of the most tragic things that happened to him in his life, including being at a party where teenagers are doing teenager stuff. Actually, college kids are doing college kid stuff. And his friend jumps off of a cliff into the ocean and is unable to swim back to shore. And it's dark and nighttime. So people can hear him screaming for help, but they are then also unable to find him to be able to rescue him. Sadly, his friend passes away. And this is a major turning point for Mark Manson. So he goes through bouts of depression, and a lot of things happen to him while he is trying to process the death of his friend. Looking back on it after becoming the Zen guru who doesn't give a fuck, Mark is able to point to this as like the turning point where he decided he was going to get his life together, make some of the decisions that led him to becoming the person that he is. So again, it feeds back into that suffering is important and necessary for growth. And it gives him the opportunity to talk about how short life is and about how we won't really be able to appreciate the things that we have in our life until we can appreciate the fact that they are truly temporary, that what we have going on right here and right now isn't here forever. So I think this is a pretty short chapter, and that kind of encompasses all of the things that are important in that chapter. That the title of the chapter is "And Then You Die." I think what it's bringing home to me anyway is that life is very short, and you are not guaranteed another day beyond the one that you have now. It's important for you to constantly be looking at who you are and what you're doing and not put off being the person that you want to be. So when you're asking yourself those VCR questions like, how do I ask my math tutor out? How do I quit my job? How do I look at this mistake that I've made, face up to it, and then move on from it? It's important to understand that in the context of you don't really have an infinite amount of time to do these things. So the more you push off facing the reality in front of you, the longer you suffer and more of the brief time that you have here that you waste being something that you don't want to be. So I think that kind of ties the whole book together. It's a book about finding out who you are. And the faster you can find out who you are, and the more often you can reevaluate who you are, the closer you'll be to filling up the time that you have with the life that you want to live, with something that's meaningful and purposeful. So, again, going back to a performance driven life and a purpose driven life. So, I think we end at the beginning.
What's that? Synopsis. Proper. Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That is it. So you talked about the death of Josh, right? That's his name, Josh.
I think it's Josh.
I think that was his friend's name. And here's a couple things. First, the first thing I wrote was 50 nonfiction books in 50 days. What? Because that's one of the things, like when he was like coming out of this depression and funk and whatnot, and dealing with this tragedy, he decided to make a lot of serious life changes. And one of the things he challenged himself to do was read 50 nonfiction books in 50 days.
I
And he did
mean,
it.
I read that Hootie and the Blowfish book.
And that's exactly what I thought of. I was like, wow, that's my sister. Fuck off.
I
Like,
read
I couldn't, I guess maybe I could, depending on what I can probably read 50 fiction books in 50 days because I don't have to read all those words and remember them. Like, it's a bunch of bullshit, so I can like skip over whole pages most of the time and get through those pretty quick. But I feel like nonfiction books, I don't know. My brain's got to really absorb that shit. So I thought that was crazy, but in a good way. And then the next thing in the chapter, the other thing he talks about is being on the cliff. What is
Oh
the
yeah.
place?
I don't
The
know.
southernmost
Cape of
something,
Hope?
or yeah, whatever that is.
Cape of
So
Good
he's
Hope.
talking about the process of getting to this cliff and sitting down and reflecting. I guess it's not something a lot of people do. Like, he's talking about all the people, looking down on all the people. And as I'm reading it, like, he's giving a very detailed, what's the word I'm looking for? Detailed. Okay. He's talking about the feelings and emotions that he's having as he's getting closer to the edge of this cliff that he's going to sit on, and how his anxiety is kicking in, and the natural reflex of your body to be like, no, you shouldn't be going any closer to that edge because that's dumb. You're being stupid. You should get back from there. So just talking about it, my hands are sweating. Like, reading it, I had anxiety for the whole situation. And then he says, I was getting stopping. And then I remind myself that it's okay to die. That's what we're all meant to do. That's what's going to happen. I don't want to do it right now. And I'm going to do everything I can to protect myself from doing that, but it's okay. And so I sat down and I moved my foot here and I did this. And then I just reflected of what's going on. And I, for 1 millisecond, was like, I'm going to go skydiving. This is what I am taking from this chapter. And I can tell you're not listening to me because you've had no response to what I just said.
I'm letting you talk.
No.
I'm also looking at my email. I read the book.
Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah.
I love testing you. What did I say?
Blah, blah, blah. Up to the edge. I'm up on the edge. I'm reflecting on it. Blah, blah, blah. I figured you were going to get to the point and then I could comment.
Got to the point.
What was your point?
My point was, as I'm reading all of this, and he's talking about the Stoics that they should keep death in mind all the time to make sure that you're living your life to the fullest, and blah 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 blah. I, for a split second, am like, wow, I am not doing this at all. Anxiety holds me back so bad. I think I need to go skydiving.
Wait, what?
Fuck off for not listening.
Wait, hold on. Did you say you need to go skydiving?
For a split second, I thought that. It didn't last very long. It
Let's
did
do
not
it.
last
Let's
very
do it.
long.
I'll book it
No,
right now. Hold on. Hold on.
absolutely not. No, you can't. My hands are already sweating. I peed my pants a little bit, but I thought that you would find this entertaining.
Don't you think it would be
Because
amazing if you jump out of the plane? That way you won't care if it lands or not. Because you can jump out of it. You'll love it. I'll book it.
I can't jump out of a commercial flight. No, I'm good. No, unless I can get on a plane with a parachute on my back all the time.
We'll get you one. It'll be fine.
Probably not going to do much help. No, I think it will help me with my flight anxiety. However,
Right.
no, I'm not talking about skydiving. I'm talking about just this book in general, and how he talks about death and it being so natural. And what else did I write down? How he talks about the Stoics to keep death in mind at all times, to appreciate life more and remain humble in the face of adversity. And I wrote here, that sounds terrible to me, to keep death in mind at all times. Like, these are things I need to work on, which is why I love this book and why I love what we're doing, because I think that these things that we talk about are things that I need to keep in mind. And that's what I was thinking of, being on a plane and thinking about Mark Manson walking towards the edge of this cliff and thinking it's okay to die. This is what's going to happen. It's
No one
the
gets
only, and
out
he said in
alive.
there, like, it's the only thing we're guaranteed. And all I could think was in taxes too, but it's really all we're guaranteed. And then he talks about meditation and how it's really meant, it sometimes is taught as a means to prepare yourself for death. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, I have some other notes, but uh, yeah,
What are your
my
other
next
notes?
note is my next note is Mark Twain dot Haley's Comet question mark.
Because Mark Twain was born when Halley's Comet was in the sky and died when Halley's Comet was in the sky?
Is that what it is? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I have a
Google
question mark because I didn't know.
Google it.
Yeah, I figured you are like my Google.
That is super dangerous.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
so he mentioned something about it. Where is it?
Talk into your microphone.
The other thing I have written down, let's see. Yeah, Mark Twain, Haley's Comet. Confronting the reality of our own mortality is important because it obliterates all the crappy, fragile, superficial values in life.
Yes, this is what I wrote
And
down.
I like it.
Do it now. Like getting back to the VCR questions. What are you waiting for? All of the superficial questions are keeping you from being the person that you want to be. And why would you want to
Exactly.
wait when there's only so many heartbeats? Why would you want to
Right.
spend a single one of them being something you don't want to be?
I still don't want to jump out of a plane. However,
We could. Okay. I don't really want to either, but I think it would be awesome to be up there and be able to shove you out of an airplane.
how about this? My dream in life is to be on Good Morning America. If we ever make it to Good Morning America, I will jump out of a plane.
Fair dues. I'm in it 100%.
All right.
100%.
My hands are sweating so bad just talking about it.
Who's on Good Morning America these days? Is it George Stephanopoulos?
Yeah. Huh.
Is it Robin Roberts?
George Stephanopoulos, Robin Roberts, Michael Strahan. I made you watch, what's his name? Whit
Right.
Johnson, is that his name?
Ginger Z?
Ginger Z.
Yep.
Those are my faves. Wit is the one who was on the eclipse. He
Oh,
was
yeah, the
covering the
eclipse.
eclipse, and his mom's the scientist.
Oh, that was a good
And
episode.
they had a moment, and it made me love him even more. Yes, I love the Good Morning America. So if we get on there, I will consider jumping out of a plane.
Awesome. Before we make you jump out of a plane, I think it's
Yeah.
about time that we take The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, and I will give you 6 things that I learned.
Oh, I like it.
Number 1, find who you are and be that.
I also like that.
The trick with that one is, but who you are is always changing.
And that's why we're always reevaluate. You can't just say, "Oh, here's my value of peace," and you're
Right.
good.
I'm done. No.
You need to always be reevaluating your values.
Life will show you things that you value slightly more than peace. For example, Olivia had a job this summer and it was very unorganized. They told her they would call her when they needed her, but they never called and they would schedule her to come in and then send her home. It was clear that they didn't need the help, and the place where she was working, the lady in charge didn't want to have the tough conversation of, "Hey, I can't afford you." So they just let it fall. And but Olivia never picked up her last paycheck. So Olivia texted the place yesterday and said, "Hey, I'll come in and pick up my last paycheck." And they were like, "Oh, there's no last paycheck for you." They were like, "Yeah, it was in the drawer and you already picked it up." She was like, "No, I didn't." And then the lady who's our age wanted to fight with an 18-year-old about $50. So I have to go to that place today and be like, "I'm assuming you have cameras aimed at the register. So just go back and see if she picked up her paycheck after the
Wow.
last day she worked." Yeah, I choose
Yeah.
peace, but I also choose don't be a dick.
I really like "Don't Be a Dick." I actually have a sticker right here that says "Don't be a dick."
I watched you collect that sticker. So yeah, find out who you are and be that. And be the person that you want to be. If you have those VCR questions, write them down and start looking at how you can do them. Number 2, Disappointment Panda, bringing tales of truth and sorrow. Disappointment Panda is the way we grow. Disappointment Panda will show up in your life when you don't want to see him and tell you something that you don't want to hear. and it will change who you are. So it will take you back to question one and finding who you are and being that. Do you really want to be the person in a bad relationship? Disappointment Panda will ask you. And you'll have to tell him, no, I don't, Disappointment Panda. Can I have some of those margaritas?
Yeah, Disappointment Panda can be a real motherfucker sometimes.
Love him though. Which brings me to my third point, that pain equals growth. So when you think of something that's painful, maybe you just push on that bruise a little bit and see if maybe it isn't, instead of just unending suffering, an opportunity to grow.
I like push on that bruise a little bit.
And leaving certainty behind. There's a little quote thing up on my shelf I didn't notice until yesterday, but apparently it was super important to me, so I put it on my shelf. It says, nobody who ever accomplished anything big or newsworthy did it from their comfort zone. So if you're sure
Right.
about things, you should probably find a bruise to push on. Number 5 is trade up to the better problem. So everybody has problems. Nobody escapes from it. Again, pain equals growth. So find the bruisey thing, push on it, and figure how to give yourself a better bruise. Maybe that one didn't work out great, but
No, I like that one. No, I like it. You said certainty of something, and I thought that you were talking about tea.
it's like a certain tea, like Turner's
Yep.
tea.
Yep. Continue on. Sorry.
Sure, you bet.
Continue on.
Number 6 is do it now. So this is the one we've been talking about. Life is short and it's also very long. So life is short in that you only have so much time, but if you lead an unexamined life where you're 100% certain about everything in your life can also be very long, because you're never going to change and you're never going to grow. And I think that would be a special hell all of its own. Like when we
Right.
go to hell, we'll be in those glass boxes next to each other where we can't
Without
talk
a
or
doubt.
communicate, except funny shit keeps
Yeah.
happening in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough.
So that is my summary of the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
I think it's a great summary. And I think that in the past few months that we've been reading it and that we've been doing this, there's a lot of growth that I think that we've both undergone. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
At least I know for myself, there definitely is. And there's a different way of looking at things and living outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Trying to. Of course, it's not something that is super comfortable, obviously, because you're outside of your comfort zone and all, but it's not something that's really easy, and it's something that requires you to push. And I think that I've done that, not super drastically, but I've done it a little bit more in the past few months than I have ever, really, because I think I'm thinking of things and looking at things from a different perspective these days due to what we've been doing.
I think that the trick is sustained introspection. So thinking about my place in the world, thinking about who I am rather than just blindly going through it, understanding that a lot of who I am is caught up in a little bit of the ADHD, and wanting to fix that is one of the major things I think that came out of this book. Is this who I am? Am I the person who halfway cleans the bathroom and then flits off to the kitchen and then flits off somewhere else and doesn't really accomplish the things that I want to accomplish? Or do I need to look at that and maybe make a change there? Like, I've always been that way, but is that the way that I want to be? Is that who I want to have as my identity? There's nothing wrong with it. Somebody that I work with was like, yeah, that's my superpower. And I'm like, God bless you. It ain't mine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It ain't mine.
Not me.
I don't like it. I don't like that feeling. It doesn't make me feel accomplished. Doing 19 things half-assed doesn't make me feel good about myself. So let's see if we can change it. Oh, by the way, I found Vyvanse, so I'll have the meds tomorrow. Yay.
Yay.
God bless the
Yay.
mom and pop pharmacy. Big shout out to McCracken Pharmacy in Waynesburg for having drugs and ordering drugs for me when I needed them. God bless you guys.
Yay. Clap, clap.
Clap, clap, clap.
I need to step back for a second because there was a Dan Harris post yesterday that I shared. I think I shared it on the Mental Funny Bone page. And he had a panic attack on a plane and made his wife get off the plane.
What?
It's pretty awesome. It's not awesome that he had a panic attack, but in this one post, he walks through 24 hours. And I was like, wow, there you go. There it is. Dan Harris, if I could fold you up and put you in my pocket and just carry you around, I would be so happy. Because he goes through every stage of all the fucked upness. And then 24 hours after, when he's thought about it and able to reflect on it and say, I didn't fail, because that's how he felt at the time when he had the panic attack, when they had to get off the plane and then rebook the flight and all of this shit. Really hard on himself through the whole thing. And then after it, he's able to reflect and talk about, again, that's, it's not failing. And it's not a bad thing that I had to take a little extra medication. These things aren't bad. They're learning how to live, and taking the little bit of medication is just helping you move along and deal with things a little bit better. So anyway, if get on the Facebook, check out that post.
No, I love that.
It's pretty interesting to walk through the whole thing with him. But it was very,
Personal for you.
yep.
Yeah, that's exactly the take home from this book, I think, and tying
Mhm.
this self help book, back to our mental health, is that this isn't who I want to be. And if I can find a way to not be this, then good for me. And if that way of not being this is a bit of medication and a lot of therapy, then I think I'm nailing it. And so I forgot to mention this to you earlier because I was so angry we were recording this at 6 in the morning. I finished 10% Happier, and
Started it yet. It's awesome.
I also finished the Atomic Habits. Do you know the Atomic Habits?
You're
Get
making me feel bad.
I forget the guys. 50 nonfiction books in 50 days. I was sick. I didn't have much to do other than read and watch Derry Girls. Who wrote Atomic Habits? Hang on one sec, I'll find it. I also like that I can hear. Oh, James Clear. You signed up for his newsletter.
I was just going to say, that sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure that it's someone we get emails from.
Right. Yeah, you signed up for his newsletter.
Okay.
And just for you, I think that James Clear might be the how to that you were looking for.
The Atomic Habits is what I need to read.
The
Okay.
It's the subtle art gives you the fundamental kind of philosophy that you have the ability to introspectively look at who you are, take the things you don't like, live through the pain and grow. And Atomic Habits gives you a step by step to make that possible.
Oh, I love a good step by step. And I
So,
was going to say, we're finishing up The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, but I feel like I need to read it 17 more times at least.
and that's what I did. I
But
never,
I feel like I love you because I think it was the greatest place, at least for me, to start. So I'm glad that you brought it to us, because I think that it, giving me being me, and liking the swear words, and you knowing me and what I connect with, I think that that might not have been your reasoning for bringing it here, but
quite
it's
beat the
Mark
hook.
Manson is definitely the way to start, way
He's
to get
funny, he's
me.
entertaining. You can take it apart
Yeah,
in little chunks.
it's the perfect place for me to start. Yeah.
Like I was saying, I think that the subtle art wraps up the philosophy behind what we're doing, like constantly examining, embracing change, understanding that there's a finite amount of time, and pushing on the bruise. And the, what's it called? The book, Atomic Habits, takes you
Mhm.
through identifying your values and who you want to be and how you get from the philosophical part to the practical part. And as I was listening to that book and listening it to 10% Happier at the same time, I started to make the connections that the sort of underpinning of being able to do all of this stuff is meditation. Meditation is going to be the tool that we're going to be able to use once we understand the how. Like, we got the why from the subtle art, we get the how from Atomic Habits, and then we get the ability to do this from meditation. So I think that once we get through Atomic Habits, that 10% Happier will tie everything together. Because there are some really good points in 10% Happier that I think fill in some of the blanks. So I think I might
Yay,
have us a roadmap.
I love it. My face just got so excited. And even more exciting, I'm getting the hardcover, which is on like major sale right now. But even better, I have Amazon points. So I'm paying 0 and it'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, yay!
Place yo order. Done. I will
Excellent.
have it tomorrow. So you just tell me what I need to read for next week. And Macho just woke up. I heard him shake his little collar out and he refuses to get off the bed himself. So he's going to start barking here any second.
Oh, there he is. Right on
There he is.
cue.
We got him steps to get off the bed. Who won't use them?
Aw, our little baby Macho.
Yeah, baby Macho's afraid of the steps.
Oh, there he is again. All right, we're done here.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.